Greetings guys, and welcome to this viewing. This is the September Psi predictions or global predictions reading for collective conscious energies for the month of September for 2020. Now I do apologize for not having been able to get up all of my astrological signs for September. I did mention that I'm a little bit busy because here in Auckland in New Zealand we're back into lockdown. So I have a lot of extra sort of family duties and people in the home, which is kind of wonderful. It's really nice to have the family around at these times, but it's also a little bit more demanding. I will be back for the October readings, but I thought I would be able to do this one since it's sort of the one-off reading. We're moving into September with, still a lot of very heavy planetary alignments that are going on around us. And some of these planetary alignments create the, if you like, collective conscious issues that are also being perturbated around the planet at the moment. So we find ourselves in a field, in an energy field that is quite combustible and turbulent and demanding and zapping. And I mean, look, I'm all for the positives in life, of being positive, of enhancing positive vibrational thinking, of energy fields that surround us with positivities, of raising our frequency. But the reality of life is that sometimes there are other situations that also play a role that go beyond our physical capability of monitoring it. To confirm what I just said, my front door just blew forcefully open, ripped off its not ripped off its hinges, but ripped out of the latch where it was sitting shut, and just blew open the exact moment that I said that about these turbulent energies that are surrounding us. So we can do our utmost to protect ourselves and to enhance positive vibrational frequencies around us, but understand that the planetary alignments are also playing a role. They're very significant with what we are, with our energy fields. So we can't deny that these systems are in place and that sometimes we need to put protection or boundaries or energy fields around ourselves to offer protection or to increase harmony and balance. So as we move into the rest of this year and into the beginning of next year, that is exactly the situation that is taking place. So it's not me being a doomsdayer. The reality is that we have to be on top of what we are going through. It's sort of like driving through a rainstorm in a car, or driving into a massive storm and pretending it doesn't exist. It does exist, but there are ways that you can protect yourself. And I think that's really vital right now at all levels for so many people on the planet. Well, for everyone. So with that, let's move into the September reading. I might include an Ching or an Ching card at the end of it to see what sort of inference is coming from that as well. But we will start off with this Morgan Greer Tarot deck, and we will see what the energies are for September for 2020 as we move into that part of the year. Now all of those fell out. I want to just do a little bit more shuffling yet, and there were probably too many in that pile to select. So if we just continue shuffling a bit more for September energies for 2020. There's quite a lot going on globally around the world. I know America has its elections coming up in November, and as it so happens, New Zealand has their elections in October. There's a lot of political movement around the place. There's the contemplation of the whole virus situation and what's going to happen globally, what the impacts are there financially as well as personally for people. So let us see what is coming out. We have the 9 of Pentacles and we have the 2 of Pentacles, interestingly enough. So we're thinking of or talking about money in this month of September. Now she bodes very well in terms of finances, so we may see some sort of positivity or raising of monetary vibrational frequency. Now I think at the moment globally around the world the share market has really rallied. I can speak here for behalf of New Zealand, which is we're nearly at the end of August now as we move into September, and apparently just yesterday our share market was trading at its highest level ever. So even though we're going through what appears to be a recession or perhaps the heading into a depression, there is still money out there, and some people who have the availability of this money are looking in places where to put it. So a lot of them are turning to the share markets. Some people will turn to property purchasing as well. Also, some of the big tech companies are doing very well, as are health companies, or companies that are related to health products or hygiene type products. Things to do with anything that like sanitizers, like ventilators, like masks, like PPE equipment. So some of those companies are doing very well. They're employing more people and they're making more money. Of course, also globally, things such as the supermarkets or the chains that back those supermarkets or provide the services to them, they're also doing very well. So financially, money is in the air for September. Those are the first two cards that have come out. This one means coming and going, and it means up and down, and it means balancing it. So whilst I think we could see some really, really highs, and we're seeing that right now at the end of August, we may also see some dips for various reasons. What causes the dips? It could be political problems, it could be jumps or unexpected surges in the virus issue, it could be other reasons that make a market go up or down, such as other natural disasters. I mean, look at California at the moment with the terrible fire situation that is going on. So sometimes natural disasters can also create monetary swings one way or another. Let's just see another one here from this deck for September 2020. What else would you like us to focus on? I sometimes think of this one as fame and accolade and acclaim, and this could be females. There could be some award or reward, or it could be like receiving a medal, or it could be a person who comes into the social realm who is admired one way or another, or who is in a position of either leadership or notoriety. They may become more prominent in this month of September for one reason or another, and it could be a woman that sort of looks like that as well. So someone in that age bracket as well. She looks to me as if she's somewhere in her 30s or 40s possibly. So a person like that may also play a role in society that comes to the light. Could be royalty, could be global political leaders, it could be well, there's a number of different things. It could be celebrities as well. Oh, I wouldn't have wanted to have picked him of all the cards, the Seven of Swords. So if he's coming in here, there could be deception around either money or money issues, so that could be fraudulent issues. It could also be things like global hacking of big companies. It could be deception around things like money, so maybe like Bitcoin or different monetary systems that are in place. It could be to do with this person here as well, could be deceiving or a deceptor, or there could be something around this person that is deceptive, or there's a hidden agenda going on. We know when this card comes out is not a good vibration, so there could be a global tendency for some hidden agenda or deception coming out. Maybe deception is brought to the fore around agendas of women. Now this could have something to do with that Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm not sure if her case is coming up in September at all, but there may be information coming out about really yucky, horrible, deceitful activities or crime or criminal activities, hidden agenda, covertive, who knows, that could be touching on the barriers as well. The Hierophant is the total opposite of this guy. He is the patriarch of the establishment of rules and society and following a protocol and adhering to it. I often think because there are two indicators of the number 2 in this card. That 2 is representative, and interestingly enough it's gone under this 2 as well. So this number 2 could play a role in September some way or another. They could be referring to you've got to wait 2 months, or there are 2 people involved, or there are 2 scenarios, or there are 2 sides to a story. He definitely is about rules and adhering to society or societal beliefs. He's actually quite old-fashioned and sometimes even religious in some sort of doctrine or philosophy. So sometimes this can be going back in time and not being as broad-minded or as open-concepted as society currently is. So maybe there is a jump up in what I call kind of restricting beliefs in many ways too, because he is such a, he has such a tight rein on the way you should behave and how you should be controlled and this type of thing as well. So he's almost out there in September as well, his energy. Could he be a lawmaker trying to contain people who don't want to be controlled? That's a possibility. But generally when he turns up, it's a kind of like telling you to do the right thing, behave in the right manner, be law-abiding, so be a law-abiding citizen, completely what this guy is not over here. I feel like there's some tie-in, especially with these 3. I can't quite figure out what it is yet. Also, September is the equinox months, when we go into the change of seasons on the planet. So we move into spring down here for us in the southern hemisphere. Yay! It's my favourite season of all. And in the northern hemisphere, you guys move into autumn. So quite often the earth is quite turbulent when the equinox periods are around. So we can see quite violent weather systems take place, and we can see even just emotions are a little bit more turbulent and feisty. So I have to say though, those cards are not bad. It's just this one that gives me this a little bit of gloomy feeling, or thinking that there's this hidden agenda going on. There's some sort of crime stuff, deceit. And I think that liberation card came out the wrong way or upside down, and I probably need to take more caution about this, because last month's reversed tower did have an implication in the fact that it was reversed. So the liberation card coming upside down could mean a lack of freedom, and that's what I've just said about the Hierophant. It feels as though somehow they want society contained. Does that mean we are locked up again? Do we see more lockdowns occurring because of this, the big V? There's a possibility that it could be doing a second surge. That could be what the number 2 means. You're getting a second surge coming through. This is a possibility. Yet interestingly, we still saw this positivity around finances, but they were coming and going. So maybe there is a second surge of the big V, It feels as though to me that we are being constrained. There is something constraining in this month of September, and I don't know what it is yet. The Ching may show us a little bit more actually. So this is for September 2020. What do the Psi cards, the collective conscious energy cards, want to show us? They're clumping. That's quite odd. They just won't, that's a little bit better, free flowing now. Sometimes this card reminds me of Australia because of the brown snake, and sometimes literally brown snakes can be insinuated in this. So whether or not Australia goes through some form of lack of freedom, they are at the moment. Victoria is in a bit of a lockdown as well. Also in the back of that card is a really fiercely running river, and that can sometimes mean massive storms that create inundation through villages and townships where rivers run, and they can overflow and create damage, and that could be this massive storms that we may see because of the weather changes that are going on around the planet. Okay, oops, that was only one They're not coming out at a great speed, these ones. Let me retrieve it from the ground. Also, that one, and it's upside down as well, oddly enough. I'm just checking if I got the deck up the wrong way, but I haven't. That bottom card could be relevant. That card I often think of in terms of things like a virus or something that affects the body and the internal workings of the body. So that would make sense about a second surge coming, possibly. I'll put it there. I'm not sure why. The fortune card is also reversed. Traditionally, this talks about good fortune, good money coming. So the fact that we see it reversed, these two being reversed here, I sometimes refer to this too as weather systems coming in, because when it's up the right way, it looks a little bit like a tornado. So there may be something about tornadoes. Are they super large? Are they so large or so big or so many of them that we can't comprehend them, that people do go into hiding or underground? We're talking again about being locked up, like this guy over here, this criminal type activity, this person. Is it that things that have been underground or hidden are certainly not free and they're being locked up or caught? Something quite convoluted about this reading, especially with those reversed cards. The moon, well, we know the planetary alignments are quite tricky. We aren't in any eclipses at the moment. We've been through the eclipse season. This could pertain to information about the moon or space or travel to the moon, or some of the big companies that are building space technology or sending rockets up or deploying people into outer space. So it could have some more information around that. It could be about asteroids or meteorites coming in, and like asteroids that travel between us and the moon, of which there was at least 2 in August. One of them was the closest we have seen in so many years. I think it's the closest ever possibly seen. This can also mean really high tides, king tides that ingress around sea walls, and we've got the 2 cards matching that as well. We've also got a sea card over here. This could also affect areas in the Tropic of Cancer. It perhaps can also affect people with that zodiac sign, Cancer, as a moon or rising sign or sun sign. So we can see big weather patterns coming in that form overseas, so cyclonic weather patterns as well, not just things like tornadoes that form over land. So there could be a lot of reference going on here about the sea or our oceans, something to do with them, movement within them that could be quake-related movement or storm-related issues. Two more cards for the finish of this part of the reading for September 2020 for the global earth predictions using the psi and collective conscious. They're not very keen to come out. The message, oh, it's another sea related card. Sometimes the message can also indicate things with animals, mass die-offs, especially marine or aquatic animals. Sometimes it can literally be a message we receive, because there is a message in this bottle. So it could be a message about something or someone. Again, I'm thinking of criminal activity or covert or hidden or underground, or people like I mentioned before, Ghislaine Maxwell case. It could be political messages that come in, because there's a lot of political movement and agendas going on at the moment around the globe with different countries and various elections, takeovers, you know, all sorts of stuff going on. There's rumour in the just out at the moment too that Kim Jong-un is critically ill after an operation earlier in the year. I did do a reading on that for him at that time, and I picked up that he did have some sort of heart complications and possibly surgery. There is a possibility that this could well be his sister who comes to power, maybe, or there's more news about him during the month and she is the stand-in current leader, but she definitely has a bit of an energy like this, especially towards South Korea. There's going to be trouble there for them, I fear, if she takes over. One more card, come on. What is the universe doing? What are you hiding from us, or what are you holding back? It's almost like we're not being given the sixth agenda. One more. Just one. I don't want a whole deck. Okay. Friendship, alliances, allegiance, partnerships, protocol. If you look carefully, there's a little hand over here that plays a big role in the whole energy or dynamic of this card. So these people are all cohesively forming a friendship or a unity or a camaraderie ship, but this person who's coming in is unknown, and that alters the dynamic or the energy field. And generally it's not considered that good, because this triad of people is already well formed and well established, so this is going to break the flow somehow. So again, we could be talking about new people coming into a situation, or someone that's brought into a current circle that causes some sort of lack of flow or lack of cohesiveness or lack of support, or extra information that is added to a scenario where people are gathering together, sometimes to sign documents. And I sometimes think of things like world leaders at things like the United Nations, or global talks for something, and someone comes in with something that turns everything asunder. I also look at these up here. They can sometimes represent barrels like dynamite, and so they can sometimes mean explosions and unexpected explosions, perhaps in communities where people were either socializing or gathering too. So that's a bit of an odd card, that one. Those are our 6 cards. I feel there's a hidden message behind them, and I see we've got, especially in this one over here, there's a lot of people, or like really close up, as if they're trying to tell us a message or communicate to us at some different level. I'm not sure exactly what they're saying, but the number 2 is somehow relevant in here. And that too could be a second surge of the big V, or it could be a 2-month wait for something, or it could be 2 people, or it could be 2 different sides of a coin in terms of perspective or information coming in. So let's move those ones to the side and do a little quick run through with the I Ching. This is for September. I am going to pick 2 cards so that we can get a hexagram analogy of the situation. Ooh. Following, number 17, lake above, thunder below. This is for September 2020. What is it that's most important for us to consider or focus on, or even interesting to understand? Oh, there's the second. 48, the well, water above, wind below. So this was the first one, and this will be the future outcome. So we now look to see what are the different hexagrams, where are they different. So the bottom one, which is number 1, is different. The second one is different. The third one is different. The fourth one is different. The 5th and 6th are the same. So we actually are going to read 1, 2, 3, 4 on this card, the well, to find out a future proposition or concept or energy for the month of September. We can also possibly read number 17, the following, as being a current energy field that is around. So choosing to follow good influences brings supreme success. You may not be able to change the direction of the wind, but by frequently adjusting your sails, you can arrive at your destination with a joy that inspires others to follow you. Those who wish to acquire a following must speak the language of their followers. Those who wish to be loved must become the imagined lover of their beloved. Those who wish to prosper must bend with the pressures of the world. In matters of principle, and this guy is principle, the Hierophant. In matters of principle, stand firm. In matters of style and taste, swim with the current. And she is style and taste in many ways. That's what she represents in the true representation of the tarot for her. If guile or self-aggrandizement enters the equation, resistance will be what follows. Focus on the common good in order to remain unharmed. In the affairs of humanity, change is constant. Old ideas are discarded in favour of new ones. A great leader can emerge only by being adaptable to the demands of the times. Similarly, only by adjusting to changing circumstances can one prosper in the world of commerce. Remain flexible and you will gain the confidence of those around you. Bend and you will not break. Balance activity with some relaxation to serve the situation well and maintain a state of healthy energy, minimizing both internal and external resistance to your goals. So there's some really positive messages in there, but one of the biggest ones I think is this adaptability. And becoming a great leader, we need to be able to be adaptable to the demands of the time. And also they said that about the world of commerce, and we talked quite a lot about finances in here, and for all of us being adaptable on how we earn our income or how we spend it or where we invest it, because we are on the cusp of a whole paradigm of life-changing direction for us as the human species on this planet. And 2020 was the beginning format of this, and we will see this as we go through the entire decade. So as we come to the next card, the Well, remember we are only reading the 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, which are the changing lines. So the first changing line to read is, drinking from a muddy well leads to misfortune. And interestingly, that fortune card being upside down is misfortune. So drinking from a muddy well leads to misfortune. The mind easily becomes confused when it is preoccupied with trivialities or phantom images. Plumb the source, live your life fully and plunge in deeply, but don't dive in too far over your head too quickly. Foolhardy endeavours are a waste of time. And that could be another message about foolhardy investments too for people. If you are looking at certain investments, they may not be viable. The second line is, the water in the well is clear, but it is not being used. This illustrates the situation of a person who possesses talents that are being ignored. Others will begin to neglect you when you neglect what is best in yourself. At a time such as this, nothing significant can be accomplished, even when bad fortune isn't indicated. That's kind of neither here nor there, that one. The well is clean but not being used. This is a shame, for like an abandoned well, your abilities are not being recognised, to your own dissatisfaction and to the detriment of others. If someone in a high position, or perhaps the highest and best part of yourself, recognises your abilities, then you can shift direction and still gain magnificent good fortune. Okay, line 4. The walls of the well are currently being lined with stone, so the time is not yet ripe to lower the bucket. There are times when the priority in life is to put details in order and take care of infrastructure, saving profound exploration for another time. Currently, it is more important to gain discipline in small things so you will be able to profit from your self-improvements in the future. I didn't get a lot out of that card. Some of you might be able to discern the messages a little more intrinsically or comprehensively than I can do. I got the feeling that it's just saying in particular, now is not the time for great leaps of changing, possibly changing even financial things. Maybe we've got to sit tight a little bit. Bending and being adaptable and versatile were the two greatest messages that came, but there's a degree of sitting tight, and I think we saw that with the restrictions that these two reversed cards had brought in, and then the restriction of the Hierophant, because he is quite restrictive in many ways, that the subtle physical and mental and legal implications, and then with this guy in there too. So I think it's quite complex and quite deep. Maybe adding the I Ching is creating another layer of intricacy to the reading, which kind of makes sense, because as 2020 has evolved, we've noticed that the whole year has become far more layered and more intricate and more difficult to decipher at so many levels. It's almost like we haven't grasped the full energy field around us, and because it's mutating and it's changing, and experiences are changing and feelings are changing so quickly on the planet, that even when you do predictive readings like this, what does it grasp at most? What does it pull on the most from the energies it's receiving? So anyhow, interesting reading. It's not the worst one I have ever seen. There were definitely the first two cards that came out, some good positivities there in the realm of finances, and I think that we will still continue to see that a little bit up and down, but possibly more positive than negative for sure. Maybe some implications with this card in terms of bad investments, so be careful on investment